We are just a little bit over 24 hours away from the Formula One season officially starting, which means I'm just in time. Just barely waited to the last minute. Procrastination. It's a thing. Don't do it. But yes, we are here to make some Formula One predictions. I'm sure these will go horribly wrong. I got some bold predictions lined up. I got the driver's prediction, constructor's predictions, and yeah, let's just get right into them. Yes, usually sometimes with this type of video, beforehand we do a season preview. We talk about every single change. But this time I just wanted to do predictions. So we'll talk about any changes at the appropriate time, but let's just dive right into it. Let's do it. Bold predictions. We're starting out with the bold ones. And any predictions, whether it's your champion, whether it's your constructor's champion, whether it's your 18th place in the driver standings, let me know your predictions in the comments. I really want to hear what everyone else has to think, because from everything I've read online, there's a wide variety of what people think is going to happen this year. But bold prediction number one. This is a heater right here. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix will bring back a live band for the national anthem. So for those of you who do not know the backstory, and they could have already announced this, I didn't feel like doing the research because I want to be surprised in April like everyone else. In 2023, just listen to this beautiful rendition of the Saudi national anthem. So yes, that was that happened, and it blew up on the internet. Everyone was laughing at it, and it was so bad that last year they did not even bring live performers. They played studio recorded, something you can find on YouTube under like a national anthems channel, and they just went ahead and played that. Now, the Saudi Arabian national anthem is great and all, but yes, I've talked about this too long, but that's my first bold prediction. They bring back a live performer, a band, or something after last year not having one. Anyways, let's get back to the racing portion of this. The championships, I think, or maybe I'm just a little bit over optimistic, but I think both championships are decided within the last two races. So they'll be decided at either Qatar or Abu Dhabi. So I'm not going to predict it down to a point, down to what lap or what finishing position, but I think they are locked in with two races to go or less. So after Qatar, or obviously after Abu Dhabi. So I think we're in for a fun championship fight this year. Last couple of years haven't been as exciting because Verstappen's blown everyone away. Last year there was about a 1 week glimmer of hope, and it quickly got demolished when Verstappen murdered the field at Brazil. But this year I think we're going to have a variety of contenders winning races. So yeah, both championships down to the wire. This next one. A lot of people seem to be drinking the red Kool-Aid this year for Ferrari and predicting either Leclerc or Hamilton to win the drivers, Ferrari to win the constructors, or sweep the championships. The Ferrari hype is extremely high. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, statistically the greatest driver of all time. Many people view him as the greatest driver of all time. He has made the jump over to Maranello to drive for Ferrari after a long tenure, a very successful tenure at Mercedes. It was a shock. It was out of nowhere. It was right before the season in 2024, but we are finally here. Lewis Hamilton, all the hype, all the excitement, all the buildup for him to drive a Ferrari Formula One car when Ferrari seems to be a little bit more competent than they have been the last few years. And I think that the hype reaches an all-time high. Now, we saw a ton of hype before the 2022 season. Leclerc won Bahrain. They had a 1-2 in Bahrain, and the hype, it was through the roof, okay? Well, imagine that times like 10, because Lewis Hamilton is going to win the Australian Grand Prix with a Ferrari, and the hype will make the 2022 hype look like nothing. This Ferrari hype you will see after Lewis Hamilton wins Australia, it will make the rest of Ferrari hype in the last 15 years, it's 18 years since Ferrari last won a driver's championship. It'll make that hype look like nothing when Lewis Hamilton wins Australia. And my final bold prediction, play the sad version of Oh Canada, because I think this is Lance Stroll's last year in F1. Now, obviously, this would ultimately more than likely be his own choice because he's not going to get fired. But I think he finally decides to call it quits from Formula One. I remember there was some rumor that he was going to retire and go play professional tennis or something last year. Maybe he does that. Maybe he goes and owns an Aston Martin dealership. Maybe he goes and races in the Endurance Championship. I don't know, but I just think this is going to be Lance Stroll's last year in Formula One. Just pure guess. And now to the driver standings. We are going to predict the driver standings first, and then we will move on to the constructors standings. We have a lot of rookies in this field, and frankly, you'll see here in a minute, I'm not that high on the rookies, and it doesn't help that some of them are in not great cars. But this first one, in 20th place, I feel so bad for him. Jack Doohan, he's waited his time to get to Formula One, gets to the Alpine car, and like days after he gets the contract or days after it's announced, they're talking about how he's out of the seat already. He's not going to make it to the halfway point of the season. I feel bad for the guy. I truly do. I really hope he gets a full season. Just give him a chance, Alpine. Like, I know you spent a lot of money on Franco Colapinto for the reserve driver role and you want to get him in a car, but give him a chance, please. He's a rookie. It's his first year. He hasn't even started and his seat is already on fire. But ultimately, because of these rumors, because of these reports, because the seat is already presumably hot, I'm going to put him P20. I'm not going to try to predict P21, P22 because a driver comes in and races a race and scores points. That's too complicated. We're doing the 20 drivers as they enter the season. But ultimately, because of that, I just think Doohan's going to be last because simply he may not have his seat for too long, and I feel bad for the guy. 19th, it's another rookie. This case is because, well, it's Sauber. Gabriele Bortoleto, yeah, I have no faith in Sauber. Sorry. Really no more to say on it. Brazilian driver, that's fun. They have a rich history in F1, but it's nothing against him personally. I think he'll actually have hopefully a decent season. It's just I don't think Sauber's that good right now. 18th, another rookie. As I said, guys, it's just going to seem like I hate rookies here. Isaac Hadjar, just rookie. The Red Bull Junior team. What do we call that thing now? Do we still call it V-Carb or Racing Bulls? Or I'm just going to say Red Bull Junior. Red Bull Junior, 18th. 17th, our first non-rookie. And once again, it's nothing against him because he's had a fantastic couple of seasons since his return to F1. Had some great results for Haas last year. But ultimately, right now, the way things are, Sauber is not good. Nico Hülkenberg, P17. Sorry, my guy. Once again, nothing against you. You're a great driver. You're a veteran. You're going to get that podium one day, but this year's not the year. Sauber is bad. He's waiting out on that Audi deal, waiting for Audi to get in. But yeah, Sauber's not good this year. 16th, we are back on the anti-rookie train. It's not the anti-rookie train. It's just that, rookies struggle in major motorsports. So, and some of them are not in great cars. Haas isn't as bad as Sauber, obviously, but Ollie Behrman, he impressed last year. He ran a race or two for Haas, ran well with them, scored points for Ferrari. I think he even scored points with Haas, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously made his debut with Ferrari when Carlos Sainz had to have his appendix removed. But Ollie Behrman, he impressed. He was pretty good in his couple of starts, but it's a full season. He's getting to know the team. Growing pains happen. But out of the rookies I've just listed, when it comes to the car, when it comes to the capability, or maybe not even the capability, but when it comes to the car and it comes to the amount of pressure, I should add, out of the rookies we've just talked about, I would say Ollie Behrman's going to perform the best out of them statistically. Next up, Yuki Tsunoda. If you can't tell here, I don't have as much faith in Red Bull Junior this year either. So no faith in Sauber, no faith in Red Bull Junior this year. You can kind of piece together the constructor standings here. Next up, in his final season of Formula One, maybe. I'm usually wrong on that stuff. Lance Stroll. Yeah, Aston Martin, obviously 2023, right? Yeah, 2023, they had a fantastic season. Fernando Alonso got a bunch of podiums. I think they finished fourth in the constructors. they had a fantastic season, but then the back half and even the last quarter of 2023, it was a rough go for them. 2024 did not get any better. And ultimately, they just have they're just kind of in that 5th to 6th range. Or really, they're just solidly 5th in the constructors. They're nowhere near Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari, but they're not as far down. Like, they're not as bad as Williams, Haas, Sauber, all Red Bull Junior. So they're literally just smack dab in the middle of everything. Next up is the new Haas driver. It's weird to talk about the French driver, not on a French team. Esteban Ocon, of course, spent so much time at Alpine Renault when it was Renault. Won his first race with him, picked up a few podiums, even got his last one at Brazil in the fall last year. Well, Haas, I think they could have an all right season. They had their flashes last year, a new team principal, things seem to be going well, but they got a completely different driver lineup this year. You got a rookie, and then you got a driver who's going to be his first year in the car, but he's still a veteran. He knows a lot. I think he could have a decent season, maybe. I think he'll score a good chunk of points, but I don't think he'll move mountains or anything. So 13th for Ocon, 12th is his former teammate, his former French teammate for the French team, Pierre Gasly with Alpine. Yeah, so I don't think Alpine's going to be horrid this year. I think I predicted them to finish like 9th last year, and that backfired massively when they got the double podium in Brazil. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of rumors swirling around his teammate already. What's going to happen to that second seat? So as long as he can kind of keep that out of his head, out of his mind, and just do his thing, get to business, I think he could have a decent season. 11th place, Alex Albon. A lot of people really high on Williams this year. A lot of people predicting Williams to score some podiums. A lot of people saying they're going to get some hardware this year at the very least. Really, really high expectations on Williams this year. Yeah, I'm going to go Albon 11th. I'm going to go his teammate Sainz 10th. Sainz his first year with Williams. If this was the 80s, even the 90s, going from McLaren to Ferrari to Williams, Sainz would have like 30 wins in a championship at this point of his career. Unfortunately, he did that in the 2010s and 2020s, so he's only got like 5 wins, no championships. But anyways, point being, Carlos Sainz, first year at Williams, I think he impresses. I think he beats Albon. Obviously, we saw Albon against some teammates that were not the highest of quality, and Nicholas Latifi, Logan Sargent, and he beat them into submission. But Carlos Sainz, I think, is just straight up better than Albon, and I think this first year with Williams, we see Sainz beat his teammate. 9th place, Fernando Alonso will once again win the teammate battle by a mile. Aston Martin, I already told you about their trajectory over the last few years, but one thing they got going for them, they do have Adrian Newey now designing those cars, which we'll talk about a little bit later with Red Bull, the senior team. But for Fernando Alonso, he's 40-something years old. He's still got a ton of ability at his age, which is just really surprising. You don't see that a lot in an F1 driver, but he's a 2-time champion for a reason. And I think Alonso continues to impress. He continues to pull things out of that Aston Martin that should not be possible. We'll see how Newey develops the car. I would assume it's going to take a few years. Well, this is the last year of this car. So I'm assuming they're already looking ahead to 2026, but you never know. 8th place, I got Liam Lawson. Yeah, Red Bull. A lot of unknowns about Red Bull. They lost. They're on the opposite end of that Adrian Newey deal because Adrian Newey left Red Bull. Second seat at Red Bull has been cursed. After Ricciardo left, Pierre Gasly came in. He got half a season and he got booted. Alex Albon came in, got like 2 whole podiums, and then he got booted after a year and a half. Then Sergio Perez came in and he did the best out of them all. And sure, they did win a few Constructors' Championships, and I argue that that's a really important thing to have on your resume. He picked up 4 or 5, 6 or so wins, but at the end of the day, he hurt them last year in the Constructors' Championship, and Red Bull decided we got to make a change. Liam Lawson has made 10 or so starts in F1 with Red Bull Junior, and now he is in the Red Bull senior team. He is in the Red Bull car. Red Bull's trajectory over the last few years. First year, 2 years of this car, these regulations obliterated the field. That first quarter of a season in 2022, Ferrari was on top, but after that, Verstappen wins 10 out of the last 16 races or something insane like that. 2023, he rewrites the record books and wins like 19 of 23 races or 20 of 24, whatever it was. And then at the beginning of 2024, he won like 6 of the first 8 races, but then we saw the fall off. Verstappen only won 1 race after that win at, I want to say Imola in May, maybe, or was it? I don't remember where, honestly. But point being, they fell off the last half, or really the last 2/3 of 2024, and they hung on for dear life to that Drivers' Championship, but they blew the Constructors' Championship. So which Red Bull will we see? Will we see the falling Red Bull, the trying to stop the bleeding Red Bull? Or will they find something with the car? Will they develop it a little bit better? I know they lost Adrian Newey, but maybe someone found something they hadn't thought of. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of faith in Red Bull at the moment. And Liam Lawson, it's his first year in the car. He's basically a rookie. I know he's got 10 or so starts, but he's basically a rookie. And I think he'll struggle at times, and I don't think he'll be anywhere close to Max Verstappen, who is in his prime right now. So I got him at 8th. 7th place, our last rookie on this list. I told you about how much I hate rookies, or not that I hate, but that, I have low expectations for him. Kimi Antonelli, 18 years old, and is already on the Mercedes A team. Yeah, a lot of pressure on him, a lot of excitement around him, a highly rated prospect, but Mercedes is looking pretty decent. Last year they had their moments. They randomly would show up and have the best car at Vegas, at Belgium, and at Great Britain. They would show up with the best car. Every once in a while you'd see them run like 7th and 8th or even 9th and 10th, but it seemed like there was more optimism last year, or they were a little bit better versus the first couple of years with this car, that they were abysmal by their own standards, but they've made progress. They've looked pretty good, but it's obviously a big year for Mercedes, not necessarily in terms of trying to win the championships, but because it's the first one without Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton won 6 championships with him, won 80-something races with them. He had so much success with them, and now they got to figure out how to navigate, how to live without and even against Lewis Hamilton, and they're replacing him with a highly rated prospect. Kimi Antonelli, I think he gets on the podium this year. I think he has a successful season by rookie standards. I don't think he quite reaches the top step of the podium yet. He could very well if Mercedes does what they did last year and they randomly show up. George Russell has a stumble or, a problem, and Kimi Antonelli's there to pick up the pieces. But ultimately, I think Antonelli finishes 7th. 6th place, I'm going to go with his teammate, George Russell. George Russell, if the Mercedes is built and ready for a championship, George Russell is their best hope as of right now. Obviously, Kimi Antonelli, he could come out the doors flying and do what Lewis Hamilton did back in 2007 when he was a rookie and compete with his veteran teammates. But not quite ready to put all that faith on Antonelli yet. So George Russell, I think, is their best hope. I think if Mercedes can show up more consistently, he has a shot at this championship. I've seen some people predict McLaren to win the championship, Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Those are the 4 teams. And if you're looking at the Drivers' Championship, you can't have, in a close championship battle with multiple teams, you cannot have infighting. You cannot have your teammates taking points off each other. We saw it back in 2008. I'm sure there's a more recent example, but that's the one that comes to mind. Or excuse me, back to that 2007 season I just referenced, when Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton were taking points off each other left and right, and Kimi Räikkönen sneaks in and wins the championship. I don't think Mercedes and Red Bull are going to have that problem this year. I think there is a clear-cut number one. There's for sure a clear-cut number one at Red Bull, but I think it's going to be pretty clear-cut pretty early for Mercedes. Antonelli's going to take some time getting up to speed, figuring things out. He'll make rookie mistakes, whereas George Russell, established race winner, knows what he's doing. He is their hope at Mercedes. If they indeed make a car that is ready for a title fight, whether it's constructors or drivers, he is going to be the one that fights for the Drivers' Championship. I got more faith in him there. I think he finishes 6th. And then speaking of Red Bull, Max Verstappen, I think the streak ends here. 4 consecutive Drivers' Championships. As I said, I just don't have as much faith in Red Bull this year. After how last year ended, the way things are trending with other teams, Max Verstappen, I think he'll win races this year. I think both him and George Russell win at least one race. But I think Max Verstappen picks up a couple of wins once again. He does what he does best, and he, as I said with Fernando Alonso, he gets the most out of that car and then some. I think Max Verstappen, we will see that on display once again. There's a chance of rain at Australia this weekend, so even if in the dry they're like 7th or 8th fastest, like out of all 20 cars, not out of the constructors, but I think Verstappen could very well go up and win a rain race. So I think Verstappen wins a couple races. I think Red Bull might have a couple flashes at random points, but ultimately, I don't think they're consistent enough to win either championship. And then we go to 4th. 4th place, Lewis Hamilton. It's his first year at Ferrari. It won't be like the rookies where it's a learning curve, you're figuring things out. This is Lewis Hamilton's first time in his career with a Ferrari engine, Ferrari gearbox, everything Ferrari. He has never driven a non-Mercedes car, or a Mercedes-powered car, I should say. And I'm very hesitant to say this, how I'm going to say this, because Lewis Hamilton still is, for his age, is still performing at a Hall of Fame level, an all-time great level. But there were cracks last year. There have been cracks in the last couple of years where, I hate to say the word weakness, but you could see he sometimes struggles at times, but still, every once in a while, on the flip side, we still see that greatness. We still see prime Lewis Hamilton that can win each and every race, no matter where he starts on the grid, right? Whether he's starting on pole and he just won pole by a second, whether he's starting 14th, whether he's starting 8th, we still see that prime Lewis Hamilton every once in a while, but we don't see it as consistently. Ultimately, first year at Ferrari, I think Ferrari, if they are truly in this championship hunt, especially the drivers, both them and McLaren are going to have to make a very difficult choice, and they're going to have to make it probably by May. Maybe you can get away with picking it in June, but at some point, you're going to have to pick one guy to win the championship. One guy, not necessarily that you trust more or can rely on more, but that is better suited and better in position at the time to do it. And ultimately, I think for Ferrari, the familiarity with Leclerc, he knows what he's doing in that car. He's been there. Everyone knows each other on that side of the garage. I think he's better suited. 3rd place, I'm going to go Oscar Piastri. Not really kind of the same deal, because Piastri's now in his 4th year on the team, or 3rd year, whatever it is. So it's not like Hamilton, where he's getting used to things. He's figuring things out. It's a new team. It's a new car. It's a new engine, new blah, blah, blah. It's just, I think Lando is better suited for it now. Now, Oscar could come out and surprise some people. I think in terms of raw ability, raw pace, sometimes he is indeed better than Lando Norris. But last year, we saw that Norris handled Piastri pretty well. He beat him pretty decently. Now, he didn't annihilate him like Verstappen did to Perez, but he became the clear number 1 pretty quick. It's just that McLaren's own incompetence hindered that. So with that being said, I think Norris jumps out to an early gain. I think he'll be the favorite out of McLaren. Piastri could surprise people. He could show up. I think he is the best out of the teams we've listed. I think he has a really good shot of beating Lando Norris straight up. But ultimately, as I said, you don't want another 2007 where you're taking points off each other every week and you let someone else win. And now for the championship pick, the Drivers' Championship, what you've all been waiting for. And then we still got to do constructors, but I'll blow through that because I basically broke that down right here. But yes, usually when we do this with NASCAR, I got a hat sitting over here and I take this hat off and I kind of talk about the drivers and all that and blah, blah, blah. Then I pick up the hat. But as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm really good at procrastinating. I'm a professional procrastinator. So yeah, the championship hat's not going to get here in time. So plan B, I went out and bought a prop. championship pick, Lando Norris versus Charles Leclerc. We're going to have a first-time champion, if I'm right. I could be very wrong, but I believe we're going to have a first-time champion this year. You know, we talked about this earlier. I'm doing this for effect, people. But got a glass here. Got some water. I could have very well just got a cup out of the fridge, but I wanted to do the effect of the pouring. So here we go. Water. You may be wondering, why am I pouring water into a glass? Well, my friends, you will see why I'm doing that. Because this is my championship pick. This is how I'm making the championship pick. I got my prop in my hands. I'm sure you heard that. But we're doing it this year. I've not done it before. Wow, this has a strong scent. I've not had this in a while. But ladies and gentlemen, this year, we are doing it. I don't know if I'm supposed to pour this all into this one glass, but okay, I think that's it. Gotta get a little stir in there. Just stir it just a little bit. Make sure it's all good. I think I put way too much compared to the water, but we're drinking the Kool-Aid this year. Charles Leclerc. Yeah, that's a little bit too strong. Charles Leclerc will win his first ever. Yeah, I should have just poured this in the bottle. But he's going to win his first driver's championship. On the bright side, that's the cheapest prop I've ever bought. It was 36 cents at Walmart. So if I don't drink the rest of that, hopefully I make up for it. But yes, Charles Leclerc, I think he's ready. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid this year. I just think it's his time. He wasn't ready. Ferrari was not ready in 2022. They were ready to win races and take that next step in terms of fighting for a championship. But last year, the way they closed out last year, I really liked how they looked. I really liked how Leclerc drove. I really liked that Ferrari at times got it together. I will never forgive them for silver. That was so bad. Britain last year, that was... Anyways, if they can get a competent strategy team this year, they can put it together. They can be a little bit more serious. This is their year to win the Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc is ready. I think Ferrari as a team is ready to win the Drivers' Championship or put forth the effort to win a Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc is my champion. Lando Norris second. Yeah. But I hope you enjoyed that little segment. But yeah, that was way too strong for Kool-Aid. Should have done it a little bit more water, but too late. Constructors, we're going to blow through this because, frankly, the driver's standings took a while and you can piece it together. Last place, 10th place, I got Sauber. Yeah, no faith. 9th place, Red Bull Jr. No faith. 8th place, tiny bit of faith, Haas. 7th place, a bit of faith, but their driver lineup needs to be situated before the season. Alpine. 6th place, Williams. A lot of people are really high on them. I don't think they're quite ready to achieve podiums or anything, but I think they take a big step forward this year. Aston Martin's still going to be in purgatory in 5th. 4th place is going to be Red Bull. Once again, they're too inconsistent for me. 3rd place, Mercedes. They had those flashes last year. I think they win some races with Russell. Verstappen wins with Red Bull, but the teammates don't quite do as much in terms of winning. But I think Antonelli does more than Lawson because I think the Mercedes will be better this year. But constructors, you probably added this up already, the way you saw the driver standings. But I'm actually going to have McLaren win the Constructors' Championship. So for the first time since, well, I kind of forgot last year. I was about to say 2021. So for the second consecutive season, we're going to have a different constructor and different driver champion. Charles Leclerc with Ferrari, and then McLaren's going to win the constructors. And that is my Formula One prediction. So let me know what your bold predictions are. Do you think that Yuki Tsunoda is going to shock the world and win the world championship? Do you think that Sauber has it together and makes me look like the biggest idiot on earth and wins the constructors championship? Do you think that Charles Leclerc is going to finish his number 16th in the driver standings? I don't know. Or are you like me and are you drinking the overpowered red Kool-Aid. But yes, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. This was a long one. Yes, it would have been longer if I did a full-blown season preview, but yeah, I had fun doing this. The Kool-Aid was worth it, I guess. But I hope you enjoyed. We got the Australian Grand Prix this weekend. I will be making a post-race video, hopefully. I'll be in Las Vegas for NASCAR. But thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. And season's here. Hope you enjoyed it.